So all of these things going on leading into what is arguably the biggest game of the season on September 3rd against LSU. How much of a distraction is this for Chip Kelly's club?
I don't think it's that big. The recruiting distractions or violations or concerns or whatever do not affect the team on the field. Kids leaving the program do not affect. What does affect you is when you suspend athletes like Cliff Harris, like Kiko Alonso. Those are two starters, big-time players that can affect your performance on.
Welcome to my duck cave, my fortress of duckitude. This is episode 6 of Keeerrrttt1's Pretentious, Self-Indulgent Ducks vlog. Now this is the last weekend before football starts. Can you feel it in the air? Can you smell it? Can you taste it? Oh yeah. Football is back. Football is back. Thank Haloti Almighty. Football is back. Now it's been a busy week for me. I've had lots of writing and planning and video work associated with fishduck.com and my YouTube channel. I had an article on Monday and Wednesday this past week on fishduck.com, and I uploaded some more videos to YouTube. And we have some really awesome stuff planned for fishduck.com down the road that you'll be hearing about more soon. Mike Wines' blog and Addicted to Quack continue to be real big supporters of us at fishduck.com in reposting the links of our articles. But for some reason, Duck Sports Now and GoDucks.net won't give us the time of day. Not sure why they refuse to post links to our great stories. If we offended those sites at some point, we apologize for whatever it is we did to upset you. Maybe we just have to prove ourselves more. FishDuck also now has a Twitter feed and a Facebook page. So please follow and like us. There are easy links to both on the front page of fishduck.com, as well as to our YouTube channel. On Wednesday, I had a column about family bloodlines at Oregon as part of my ongoing DuckTales series on Oregon history. I interviewed a lot of former Oregon players, such as Josh Wilcox and Kristen McLemore, and others who have had family that have also played at Oregon. There's some interesting stuff in there, so check it out. And while on the topic of FishDuck, my Monday article, which called for some composure in the fan bases, got picked up on a couple of LSU websites and reposted. Wow, Duck fans. You think you're psyched for football? The morning after the article was posted on DandyDon.com and TigerDroppings.com, I woke up to over 70 emails in my inbox, all from LSU fans, all praising the sentiment of the article and just wanting to talk football. Now, in the time since, at this point, I've now received well over 100 emails, all praising the article. Nobody wanting to talk trash, all positives. If over 100 LSU fans took the time to write, that means hundreds, if not thousands more, read it. So, how many of you are going to LSU websites and sending writers positive comments about how you enjoyed their write-ups on LSU? Yeah, didn't think so. That's passion, folks. I'm impressed. That article was actually in response to a few messages I got last week from Duck fans that I found really insulting. They were celebrating the fact that some LSU players might be in trouble and miss the game. That's the wrong attitude, folks. That's a complete lack of class. I was angry, and that story was written out of anger towards a select few Duck fans. Now, look, I want to see two teams play each other, giving maximum effort with the best players they have available, and the game to be won on the turf. The game is won on the field, not by off-the-field incidences.
There's LaMichael, the little guy.
I think this Oregon running back will. High-profile program, a lot of flashy runs, a lot of 30, 40, 50-yard runs, 24 of his touchdowns last year. That's an Oregon record, and they've had some great players. High-profile, flashy, TV games, big runs, home run hitter, to me, is the favorite.
Now, LSU has their own suspension problems. Oregon has Cliff Harris and Kiko Alonso. LSU has now officially, as of Thursday, suspended Russell Shepard. Now, if you don't know who he is their best offensive playmaker. He is their offensive superstar. He's a great wide receiver. He's been suspended for NCAA rules violations. Now, the violation he commits seems kind of ticky-tacky, but whatever. I can't imagine the pressure on these student athletes, not just school and all the physical preparation, but they have to learn playbooks and NCAA rule books that are like a phone book or a dictionary on top of it, just to know what not to do. He's getting suspended for something that seems really minor, but oh well. As for their quarterback, Jordan Jefferson, he's being investigated for a bar brawl that left a Marine with fractured vertebrae and speculation that Jefferson kicked him in the head. Now, there's an ongoing police investigation into the matter. Nothing official has come out yet, but there's little rumors here and there. He might be suspended, he might be arrested, he might be kicked off the team, or he might play. At this point, we don't know. I personally hope that if the investigation is still ongoing, he plays. Like I said, I want to go against LSU's best and beat their best. I don't want to beat a second-team squad. I do think that when a student-athlete screws up, there should be proper punishment. But nobody should be celebrating the fact that fellow human beings are in trouble due to poor judgment. Whoever wins September 3rd, let it be on the field, not with an asterisk next to it for who wasn't able to play. I don't want to hear Oregon fans arguing that the Ducks didn't win because Cliff and Kiko weren't playing, or LSU fans saying that they didn't win because Shepard and Jefferson didn't play. Don't use it as a crutch. Don't use it as an excuse. Let the game be won on the field by the players who are available. Don't belittle a hard-won victory with petty nonsense. Show some class, people, on both sides. The responses I've received from the article I wrote have been fantastic, and it's really refreshing to see that most get this. I'm also very excited because I will be making a road trip from here in Los Angeles north to Eugene for the Nevada game. I was given seats on the 34-yard line on the south side under the roof, which means I am really going to piss off a bunch of blue hairs when I stand during the game and actually cheer for the team. Now, for those going to the game, I should be pretty easy to spot. I'll be the only guy on the south side of the stadium that stays for halftime in the third quarter. It'll be me in a giant empty section under the roof, all by myself from halftime until the fourth quarter. So feel free to wave, stop on by, say hello. Sorry, old donor folk, but I'm bringing the north side mentality to the south side of the stands. I stand during the game, I cheer for my team, and I stay at my seat until the final seconds tick off the clock. If that upsets you, too bad. Week 3 of practice is wrapping up for the Ducks. All practices are now closed until the LSU game while coaches implement the LSU game plan. So if you just picked up some brand new binoculars to enjoy practice, Gail, well, you'll be able to use them during the season, but don't bother heading by the stadium for the next week or so. Injuries are sadly taking their toll. It was revealed that tight end Curtis White tore his ACL and he's going to miss the season. That means that a position of great depth suddenly now is really thin because Brandon Williams was also forced to retire due to his neck injury. So that leaves David Paulson, Colt Laierla, and Christian French being the only ones available. Of those, Paulson is Oregon's only tight end with game experience. That's unfortunate. Now to fill out the depth chart, defensive end Nick Musgrove has been switched to tight end. On that same vibe, with Blake Cantu's status still very much in doubt, and talk of most of the freshman wide receivers probably being redshirted, cornerback Dior Mathis has been practicing as a wide receiver. If he stays there, that's a kid with some major big-time wheels. He's really got some top-end speed, so he could be a great deep threat, which is needed considering most of the experienced wide receivers at Oregon are more the possession-type guys. So having a guy that can stretch the field with Mathis's speed could be a really valuable asset.
Now, former Oregon running back Lake Seastrunk will be transferring to Baylor. Oregon granted Seastrunk's release so he could be closer to his grandmother. Seastrunk.
Also in the realm of bad news, Lake Seastrunk has decided to leave Oregon and go play at Baylor. And John Clownzano, of course, took full advantage of the opportunity to make the ridiculous claim that Oregon fans had turned on Lake. What a joke. Now, I scoured the Oregon message boards. I looked at hundreds of posts about Seastrunk leaving, and I saw maybe 5 negative posts. And I bet those were from Beaver fans. Everybody that I saw and I've spoken to have wished him well as he transitions from Oregon to Baylor and completely understood his reasons for leaving. But I guess those 5 morons plus Clown is sufficient to write a story about how the entire fan base has turned on Lake. Whatever. Look, Lake Seastrunk is a great athlete, but he's raw, and he had trouble acclimating to the offense. Because of that, he had dropped to 5th or 6th on the depth chart, and with the grandmother who had raised him being very ill, and him looking for more playing time, I completely understand why he would want to leave. But I guess me being understanding, according to Clownzano, means that I too have turned on Lake Seastrunk. The Ducks are going to be okay. LaMichael James, Kenyon Barner, DeAnthony Thomas, and Ayele Ford. That's plenty of talent to fill out the depth chart. They will have to recruit a running back, maybe 2, this year to fill out the future depth chart, as it's likely LaMichael's going to leave and Barner's going to be a senior. But for this year, unless there's a string of injuries, I don't think losing Seastrunk is going to be a problem. I've also been asked what I thought of Oregon's new Nike Pro Combat uniforms that they're going to be wearing for the LSU game. Look, maybe I'm just getting old, but honestly, I couldn't care less about how uniforms look. I care about 2 things when it comes to uniforms. Functionality. Are they light? Do they help keep the player cool and don't retain liquids? If so, awesome. 2, recruiting and marketing. Does it bring attention to the program and help in getting 17, 18-year-old kids to want to be Ducks? If so, awesome. What I couldn't care less about is what they look like. They're not for middle-aged guys like me. They're for the student athletes. If they feel like they look good, then they're going to play loose. They're going to play better. This is something that I addressed on a recent DuckTales column on fishduck.com for the 1989 Independence Bowl. That was really the ethos, the beginning of Oregon's uniform trends. So if you're not familiar with the story, take a little time, read it on fishduck.com, you'll understand. But honestly, I wouldn't care if the team came out dressed as pink fairy princesses like Cam Newton. If it helped in recruiting a great athlete to be a Duck, fantastic. That's where I stand. As for my opinions, I'll wear the gear because it's the Ducks, but it doesn't mean that I care about the new designs. Cool? But if you really want to know about my own personal favorite Oregon uniforms, here you go. And now, my random tweet of the week. BEDOUIN SOUNDCLASH. They are a Canadian reggae trio that harkens back to the early 1960s roots rock sound coming out of Jamaica. Now, you may think Canada is an odd place for a reggae band to come from, but actually the Canadian music scene for decades has had a wealth of soul, funk, reggae, jazz bands. So much so that recently Light in the Attic Records even put out a compilation of bands in the Toronto music scene from the 1970s. BEDOUIN SOUNDCLASH formed while in college in Guelph. Their debut album earned them the Juno Award for Best New Artist. Now, if you're not familiar with the Juno Awards, they're the Canadian equivalent of the Grammys. They signed with Side One Dummy Records, which is the label owned and operated by Kevin Lyman. He's the guy who runs the Warped Tour. And they've put out 3 additional albums under Side One Dummy, as well as a solo album from frontman Jay Velinowski. They're best known for their song 1259 Lullaby, which received a lot of attention for its repeated use on Grey's Anatomy. And they also had a version of Sublime's Waiting for My Ruka that appeared on a Sublime tribute album that earned some attention. They tour constantly on the various festival circuits, fitting in well both as a reggae band and alongside punk bands. They're just really quality musicians, really great music that harkens back to the islands. They make upbeat, fun, happy, roots rock reggae music. It's the perfect soundtrack for summer barbecues or a day on the lake. Check them out, BEDOUIN SOUNDCLASH.
From where you stand, 'neath a shelter built by many hands, there is a star. You've locked the door of people you once were. You gave a war, and your walls fall down. Walls fall down. Walls fall down like a storm comes down.
Okay, that does it for me this week. We do love our Ducks, and this is the last weekend before we have football again. How awesome is that? Check back next Friday. I'll have an all-new episode up. Until then, go Ducks.